On this episode of Africans in Sports,
I've always cared about two things. I just really wanted to do well in school, do well in basketball, and make my parents proud. I played for the Nigerian National Team. One of the great honors of my life, to put, green and white on my chest and to, represent Nigeria. And my dad was very traditional, and like most traditional Nigerian parents, and all Nigerian parents in general, it was like, read your book, and learn to cook. Who will marry you?
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Africans in Sports. I'm your host, Chris COSeezy Strawn, and today we're in sunny Los Angeles, California with the beautiful basketball player turned sports analyst, Rosalyn Gold-Onwude. Roz.
What's up?
How are you?
I'm well. I'm doing great now that I'm sitting next to you.
I couldn't wait.
This was the reunion that we needed, the energy we needed.
Real talk.
It's been a while.
It's been since last year, late season. I saw you on the wood.
Yes. So if you don't know, we're basketball friends, but we're also life friends. But
Yeah.
we go all the way back to Warriors days when I was their sideline reporter for the Golden State Warriors. COSeezy, Chris, kicking it for a cause. He was courtside every single game. And actually, you pointed this out when we were just talking, also back to Santa Cruz Warriors, D-League, G-League days.
Yeah.
So we go back.
Go way back.
And we're from New York.
Facts. Please believe and understand that this is a New York thing. New York vibes all day.
That's what we do.
Real talk. Roz, grew up in Queens. Shout out New York.
Yep.
Your father's Nigerian.
Yes.
And your mother is Russian and Jewish.
Yes.
What's that cultural dynamic like growing up? Because that's crazy.
So, okay, as most kids with Nigerian parents, we are told we're Nigerian. We know who we are. It was really important to my dad that we grew up knowing our Nigerian culture. In fact, my dad was a part of a lot of meetings that would go from different members' house, that all these different Nigerians in America. And so we would have different meetings every month at different people's house within it. So, we actually grew up with a lot of families and kids that we knew that were also Nigerian. And that was a part of my upbringing, especially while my parents were still together. They eventually got divorced. Now, on my mom's side, she's Eastern European Jewish. She has Russian background. On her father's side, Polish. She's Jewish. Some of her family resides in Israel right now. My mom was an only child, and my mom wasn't as strong of a personality, especially earlier in her adult years. I think she got stronger as she went along. So my dad's culture really was what happened in the house. My mother was Jewish, but we were raised in the Catholic Church. We did my dad's cultural Nigerian meetings. He was the one that could prepare the food, but we ate Nigerian food in the house. And it's funny now though, because my mom is sick. She has Alzheimer's and
I'm sorry to hear that.
No problem, and dementia, and she can't really tell us the stories of her family or where she's from anymore. And so what my sister and I are also trying to do right now is also dive into knowing her side too, because we know our Nigerian side. We've always been very ingrained in it.
Yeah.
But growing up as a mixed race child is important. I believe it's important to know where you're from on both sides. But my dad, he always said if I would come home with pizza, everything would trigger him. He'd be like, Fatima, why are you eating pizza? You are running from your roots. I'm like, Dad, I'm 6. It's pizza. Why don't you eat? Come and eat some eba or whatever. And he was serious.
Speaking of the food,
yeah.
What's your favorite Nigerian dish?
Okay, there's so many, but I'm a big, I really eat Nigerian food. I like eba and egusi, basically some kind of pounded yam, or there's also different types, pounded yam, eba, fufu, but I love egusi, and I love goat meat. And I used to get in trouble because I would try to eat my goat meat before I finished, and
everything else.
And my dad would get so mad, but it actually is proper protocol to not eat all your goat meat first. But I also I like stew, and I think and my one greatest regret is that I didn't learn to cook Nigerian food. There's still time, and I could, but again, being raised, when my parents got divorced, and then my mom wasn't cooking that in the house anymore, or wasn't, so it's just something that I missed out on.
You grew up in New York, played ball at Archbishop Malloy.
Yep.
That's crazy. That's like prestigious basketball school from what I know. I know there's a few people, former TNT colleague of yours, that went to the same school, am I right?
Home of Kenny Smith,
Yeah.
Kenny Anderson as well.
Yep.
A lot of great basketball players.
You won 3 state championships there.
Yeah, I think so. Or I don't know.
Girl, and nobody comes out of that place. Like, to do that in New York is a big deal.
Yeah, it was, and for us, it was really prestigious to have success as a girls' basketball program because the school only went co-ed like 2 years before I got there. It used to be all boys.
Mm-hmm.
So it was really tough to suddenly come in and be a contender. And also, I mean, Malloy was always chasing that powerhouse. If you're familiar with New York, Christ the King.
Christ the King.
So I'm very proud of what we did there. And Malloy in general really set me up with good foundation of like life skills as well.
Like you said, your dad wasn't really impressed with the whole basketball thing. And I know most African parents, they don't really care about the sports side. They want you to be in those books.
For real.
How hard was it for you to just continue your love for basketball?
Yeah.
And come home like your dad, like, so what?
So I probably started playing basketball when I was 4. It was my mom who gave me the basketball. My mom was not an athlete. She's a nerdy, little kind of quirky, little, Jewish girl, like no athleticism, but she had spirit. She had passion. And I think more than anything, she was a crusader for women's rights and women's advancement. And what she saw at the time was she was just trying to give me another option. And I don't even think she would have thought at the time. My mother's name Patricia Gold. I don't think at the time she knew that basketball was going to give me a college scholarship. I don't think she knew that it would show me the world. I don't think she knew that it would give me a television career or some of the best friends that I know. I think all she really wanted was just to give us a chance to get some life skills, to have us be strong little girls, to make friends with other people in the community. Literally, there weren't even basketball teams where we were in Queens. My mom had created like flyers on like MS Paint, like a little stick figure with hands and like a little ball and like a sign like "Mothers Bring Your Daughters to Our Lady of the Angelus." And it was like a whole collection of like, just a really ragtag collection of like a bunch of little black girls, a bunch of little Latina girls, a bunch of little Indian girls, and their moms, and like a couple of dads. Yeah. And like we were on a regular basement that we turned into a court with tape. Yeah. And that was my mother's spirit. She did that. She drove us all, as I got better, she drove us all through the country to go play in tournaments. And then as I continued to improve, she sent my tapes to Stanford and different places that helped me later get a scholarship. So I definitely want to say it was my mom who gave me the love of the game. And also, while academics was always important to her, my dad was definitely pushing the books. Yeah. And so it was a great combination of the two. My dad was very traditional, and like most traditional Nigerian parents, and all Nigerian parents in general, it was like, read your book, and learn to cook. Yeah. Who will marry you? And seriously, and like, I credit both of them, and especially my father, for just the importance of education. I've always cared about 2 things. I was kind of a square growing up. Like I didn't have boyfriends. I wasn't cute. Like I was a tomboy. Like I wasn't doing drugs. I'd never drank. As coming up through high school, college I might have drank. But but what you call it? Like I just really wanted to do well in school, do well in basketball, and make my parents proud. Yeah. Like I grew up that way, and eventually my dad started to come around. Like he would come to games. It wasn't like he rejected basketball. Yeah. It's just that he didn't understand what the vision was for it. Yeah. And it wasn't until he started seeing colleges were recruiting me to give me full scholarships to go there. Then I always joke, I tell the story 1,000 times, but my dad, like literally when I signed to go to Stanford and we were all together, he stood up and said, "I have always supported my daughter's basketball." I'm like, you. And when we had official visits coming, we had Stanford come, we had Maryland come, coaches came, my dad would fix up these amazing Nigerian feasts, all sorts of food for them to eat. And that's great. And so it was, he's come around and he gave me a call from Nigeria. He always calls to say, "My friend said they saw you on TV." And I'm like, "Yeah." And he said, my friends called to say, is that your daughter? Like, is that your daughter? Like, Onwude, is that her? And he's like, yes, that's my daughter. And I'm not sure if he's seeing me, but I know he knows his friends are. And for Nigerian parents, that goes a long way.
Yeah, for sure.
Roz went to Stanford University, a prestigious school in the heart of Silicon Valley, California. She was coached by the legendary Tara Vanderveer, who taught her everything she knows about basketball. Roz was able to lead her team to 3 Final Four appearances in college and was named Pac-10 Defensive Player of the Year.
Your mother kind of put the basketball in your hands, and your dad made you hit the books. And here you are at one of the most prestigious universities for both. What's that like?
Oh boy, Stanford changed my life. And I'm really glad that my parents were the ones that pushed me to Stanford. In fact, to continue to come back to my dad, so we had Maryland come in. Maryland I was very serious about going to. And actually my freshman year when I went to Stanford, Maryland won a national championship, but we'll let it go. We'll let it go. But anyway, they're a great school, great program. So Maryland comes to visit. They talk 2 hours for the whole home visit. They talk about academics, they talk about basketball, wonderful visit. They leave. Stanford comes. Tara Vanderveer, Sharman Smith, they all come through to visit my family. The visit lasts like 4 hours.
Oh, wow.
2 hours academics, 2 hours basketball. Who could I meet? What path did I like? Well, these are alumni that I should get to know and da-da-da-da. And literally when we fed them all these great Nigerian dishes and then they left and we had a great time. And as my dad closed the door, as they left, my dad ends up standing up. And he's so dramatic sometimes, but he stood up and he said, Fatima, if you do not go to Stanford, I have no daughter. And like walks out and like closes the door. Wow. And not to say he pressured me, but eventually I decided to go there. And Stanford totally pushed me outside my comfort zone, enabled me to meet people I never had access to before, and changed what I even believed was possible for myself, or even what I believed I could aspire for. Chris, for me to sit here on this couch today, to sit next to you and know you and do this interview, absolutely can be traced back to going to Stanford.
What's it like playing for Coach Vanderveer? She's a GOAT.
Tara Vanderveer is a Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
Shout out to Tara. Tara also changed my life. One, I work as a broadcaster now. There's no way I could do it without Tara Vanderveer. She taught me basketball.
Wow.
She taught me how to think it. Like growing up in New York, you know how we were, dribbling, ball handling.
That's it.
But
no
like,
J.
You know, I could shoot it. But, you know, and I definitely wasn't playing defense yet. And it was just kind of like, I was better, I was bigger, I was faster. Tara Vanderveer taught me to think the game. I learned about spacing. We ran triangle offense. And I really started to understand the game more. And so now when I'm broadcasting or breaking down the game, I'm literally quoting things that I've heard Tara yell at me over the course of our time together. Tara also taught me important life skills that I use from basketball in the real world. I learned how to be consistent. It's, you know, hard work is one thing. It's so important to be a hard worker. But consistency, can you do it multiple days in a row? Can you do it every day? Like, it was really hard. It took me almost to my junior year till I was able to consistently hit 6 days of the week, 6 practices straight, going hard. For a while, I could only muster up 1 day a week or 2 days a week, but I learned how to push through the days that I was tired or my body hurt or I didn't feel like it or I was having attitude or something. Then, besides consistency, I learned discipline, the importance of doing things the right way, the importance of preparation. So, I mean, and just how to push yourself outside your comfort zone and things like that. And so I feel like Tara Vanderveer helped turn me into the woman I am today.
Wow. And you guys were pretty successful.
Yeah.
What is it, 3 Final Fours?
Yeah, 3 Final Fours.
That's crazy. Nobody does that.
Tara Vanderveer had been crushing it. Like the program had gone to a whole bunch in a row. And I'd been to 2 national championship games, but we fell short in both. But still, some of the greatest, most thrilling memories of my life. As an adult, it's very rare that we have moments where we can shriek at our office, or scream at the top of our lungs, or go so hard we almost feel like we're gonna faint, or, you know, have those moments that make you weak in the knees, or like flush your face and your head, and the feeling that you could be part of something bigger than yourself, that you have, that you could run into your teammates' arms and know that we did this. And yeah, we went to the Final Fours and Pac-12 championships, and we did all of that. But I'll always remember like the bus rides, all of us cracking jokes at dinners and meals. And like to this day, like Stanford is family.
Yeah.
Like I see so many women, whether it is Bethany Donovan is working in the WNBA, NBA offices, Amy Brooks, NBA, or if it's Nneka Ogwumike, who has won WNBA MVP before, a championship this year, just got knocked out in the playoffs. You know, it's a family, it's a sister. I don't even need to talk to them. If you need money, if you need a place to stay, you can come.
Holla at you.
Even if we didn't like each other in college, I got you.
Still family.
It's family.
That's
We
what's up.
blood, sweat, and tears together.
After college, Roz took that sense of family and went back to her roots to join the Nigerian National Basketball Team in 2011. She trained with the team in Abuja, and their first stop was the All-African Games in Mozambique. Next, they were off to the FIBA Olympic qualifiers in Mali, where they were just one game away from playing in the Olympics.
I played for the Nigerian national team.
Right.
One of the great honors of my life, to put, you know, green and white on my chest and to, you know, represent Nigeria, and had a mix of Nigerian girls who were born and raised in Nigeria, and then a mix of American Nigerians. So basically, some of the girls were born in the US, but both their parents were from Nigeria. And there were a few of us. And honestly, skill-wise, you could tell a difference. There certainly is still a gap between African basketball and like US basketball and even European basketball, and there was a gap. So pretty much the American-born Nigerians, like usually skill-wise, we were just better skill-wise. I was a point. There weren't many great point guards coming out of the motherland itself, of Nigeria. I was the team's point guard. Many of the Nigerian girls coming up were good shooters, great defenders, you know, strong, physical. African basketball is physical.
Right.
As European basketball, they say, is finesse.
Finesse, yeah.
American basketball is kind of what you see, but and fast. African basketball is fast. So we worked a lot on like skill work and things like that. But besides our skill sets, for the American Nigerian girls, there were different levels of how Nigerian were you, whatever that means. But so like my mother being white, there was a different understanding of our Nigerianness versus an American Nigerian who both her parents were Nigerian. You know, so they grew up very easily with the exact same cultures and festivities and celebrations that maybe their parents did when they were in Nigeria. So for me, actually being on the team, it was a learning experience too. Like, people were so impressed, maybe because I'm fair-skinned or a little bit light-skinned, although I have a tan right now.
Yeah, nice tan.
But, but like some of the Nigerian-born girls would look at me like, what's the word? Akata, yes?
Akata, what does that mean?
Like, is it lights? Oh, no, that's like white girl, right? Or light skin? Yeah. Light skin? Yeah. It's not a compliment, but it's not like
They're trying to play you.
They was trying to play me low key, but like in a fun. I felt like it was in a fun way.
Yeah, it was lighthearted.
But they would be so impressed because they'd be like, "Where are you from?" And I'd be like, "We're Benin tribe." Where? Edo State. Oh, you know where you're from? Yeah. I'm like, yeah, actually I do. And so can you eat? We'd sit down and we'd have like traditional foods prepared for us like after practice. Like we'd legit eat like eba after practice. And like I would take it, mush it in my hand properly, like let it, then create like a little, you know, you're supposed to create a little indent, come in there, get your soup, get your stew, and eat like this. And they were so impressed that I didn't pull out a fork and knife to eat it. I'm like, what did you think I was gonna do? And
shout out to Pops.
Shout out to my dad for preparing me for this moment.
Despite missing the Olympics with the national team, Roz eventually does make it to the big game, but this time as a reporter. She's currently at the height of her career with endless possibilities in front of her, but she didn't start at the top.
Stanford's done. You represented Nigeria. Now what?
I began first a real job. So I started working with Tesla. I was at a crossroads. I was like, do I want to be a broadcaster? Do I want to keep playing ball professionally? Or do I want to, you know, maybe be a business person? You know, do I want to go to business school? Like things like that. And so they really allowed me the flexibility. They said, yes, you can go do the Nigerian national team. When I came back, I said, hey, I've got like 4 to 5 broadcasting gigs. Because literally, I was chasing broadcasting, but it's so hard to find work.
Right.
And basically, I had like 4 or 5 little, here, please take this and manage this. Like hand-me-downs from people who couldn't do it for like barely any money. and it's certainly not enough to call a salary.
Experience,
reps, and so it's so hard to get them. So I asked Tesla, I said, hey, could I do this? And they said yes. But I actually improved. I actually did well. And so it went from like, oh, I just got 4 to like, I had a couple more. I had like 12 or something. And now you're starting to miss a couple days and stuff. And it came a point where I had to make a decision on, am I all in or out on this, or am I going to chase broadcasting full time? And I ended up chasing broadcasting. And what I learned from Tesla was so many great like business skills, of a startup culture. I got to see all the different parts of the company as we rotated through. It was a rotational program. So that really helped me with my business mind. But I knew my joy, my passion, what made me feel alive was being close to the game and doing broadcasting. So I started broadcasting and I made no money. Yeah. And very soon I had another crossroads. Like, can I do this? And you know what? You're similarly in a creative field. No, it's very hard.
I'm soaking this all up while you're speaking because I'm like, I know the journey well. I know it.
It's really hard. In fact, like if I had a couple of those hand-me-down basketball games as analysts from like, the ESPNU or something at the time, and I was writing for the school recruiting website. I was teaching a public speaking course at Stanford. I was working at the school radio station as a production assistant. I was coaching my landlord's daughter's basketball team to get half off on the rent. And even still, I was low-key broke.
I've always loved that. Your hustler's mentality has always blown me away. Like,
thank you.
For everything, because
New York.
Yeah, exactly. I always pointed, I was like, she's a New Yorker. Like, she's on TNT, but then she's doing the New York Liberty too.
Right.
Like,
and even the Turner deal was my first exclusive deal. Do you know I had to really work hard to get them to allow me to do Pac-12 basketball as well? One, continuing to do women's basketball. Essentially, the Turner contract almost took me all the way out of women's basketball, and I care about women's basketball. Right. So Pac-12, they allowed that. That kept me in women's basketball, and it kept me in the analyst, the color commentator seat. I also can think and talk about the game at a high level, and I want to continue to keep that role. So it's funny, like, I was hustling a lot. Like, I've always been hustling. When you met me with the Warriors, I had a full-time job as the Warriors sideline reporter, but I also had like 8 other jobs. Like, we would go on a road trip for like 13 days or something. The guys would come home and I would take a flight to Corvallis and do like a women's college basketball game. Then I would go and do like a Liberty A10, or something basketball game. And then I was doing WNBA, I was doing this, I was piecing this. And I think that's always been in my spirit, to be a hard worker, to really care about the craft, and to want to grow. So eventually my broadcasting career grew to that. But it took a long time before I got past the threshold. Like I definitely came to a cross in the road where I was like, can I continue doing this? Or do I need to take, a more responsible job? And I essentially, the long story short, like created my own show, did it digitally, pitched it to people with a following, started to grow it that way. And then using my network, I reached out to the Pac-12 conference and I said, hey, I'm doing this digital show around women's basketball. And they said, oh, this is cool. Can you do it for us for free for all 12 teams? We can't pay you, but the network, we're having a network start next year. It may help you get in the foot in the door. And so I said yes, and I did it for a year with my friend Kevin Dana. And we did it for a year for free, pulled all-nighters, sleepless, and we called, we did this show like out of my bedroom. It was called we originally called it the Pink Room because my walls of my bedroom are salmon colored. But the next year the network started and I got my first contract.
Wow.
And it was the first year, one, I could predict what a salary looked like. It was still very low, but at least I could depend on something.
Right.
Up until then, I had just been guessing and hoping.
You've been through ups and downs and family, good, bad. You've had a village raise you. There's been so many lessons in that. If you can talk to the young girl who may be Nigerian or who is mixed and she wants to play basketball, but she looks at you and she's like, I want a broadcasting career too. What's your advice to the young 13-year-old girl who's looking at your success and wants to emulate that?
Right. I think my first advice is to invest in the craft. Preparation. preparation one gives you so much confidence on stages that are big, stages where you might be one of few women, stages where you might be one of few black people, black women, black whatever, if you're a male, you know, and preparation helps you respond quicker, know the best way to take the conversation, and it just gives you a peace. And I would say that preparation also lends it to investing in the craft. Lead first with your knowledge. Knowledge will have people respect you. It'll create common ground between you and the people you're talking to. Knowledge, when you are coming with such amazing information, exclusive information and conversations with a very careful attention to language that elevates the conversation. When you're saying things that people couldn't have just guessed or nobody heard before, or the way you're saying it is in a way that is unique but powerful, but also gets to the point of getting the knowledge out. When you're doing that at a high level, that will open the door to be yourself and do all the other things. It's gonna be hard for someone to tell you or have a problem with your braids when you're really good at the craft.
This has been a true pleasure. I've always wanted to do this, so like, I'm super happy that we finally got to do it here in LA.
Definitely.
You're amazing. I'm gonna continue following. I'm gonna continue to hit you up and support you.
Thank you. Always, same way with you, man.
Thank you so
know
much.
how we do.
Of course,
Anything
of course.
you're doing, I'm with.
It's a New York thing.
You know what I'm saying.
You already know. For Africans in Sports, I'm Chris COSeezy Strawn. Rosalyn Gold-Onwude. We out of here, baby.
On the next episode of Africans in Sports.
It's hard to have some kids. It's hard to have kids. Like, everything is hard. And my goals are to lift the trophy. If you can't talk, or you can't walk, or you can't, like, your hands are cut off, you can make it.